My next guest has been for most of his career one of the best footballers on the planet. He's also a global sex symbol, fashion icon, and one part of the most famous and talked about celebrity couple in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, David Beckham. No, when I used to get a welcome like that, don't you, Billy? I mean, some people screaming and things like that.
I thought I did.
You did? When you walked on today. That's how deaf you're getting.
When I came on with that clip you did, I got that reception. In 1974.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Those bastards on. Ignore them, David. David, we must talk about the game. It was awful, wasn't it? It was awful.
It wasn't pretty, no.
It wasn't pretty.
It was frustrating and disappointing, and I think with the players we've got, with the team we've got, with the support that we've always had and always will have, those fans deserve to be celebrated next summer and to have the flags on the cars, the windows, and be supporting our team.
But we seem to be saying this all the time. After every disappointment, we've got the players. Well, have we? I mean, we've won nothing since 1966.
No, that's right, you know, and...
it's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, I
mean, here you have... But it's true. I mean, here you have the most highly paid, most wealthiest, money-making machine in all of sport, actually, the Premier League. And yet, you know, as I said, since 1966, we've won nothing. Yeah. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. How do you account for that?
It is extraordinary. But football's changed a lot since 1966. You know, we had an amazing team that you know, won us the World Cup. And it's amazing that we haven't won it since because, as you said, you know, the amount of money that is in football, the players that there is, and it's truly incredible. But it's what we work towards. It's not as if, you know, we go on the field and we think, you know, I can't wait to get off the pitch, go home to our big houses and nice cars. You know, once you're on that field, all that matters is winning.
So money's got nothing to do with it, not a softer lifestyle.
For me and the players that I've played with in my career, money's never had anything to do with playing football. Of course, people are going to say it's easy for you to say that because you've obviously got the money, but for me, you know, when I was a young kid growing up at Manchester United, I was lucky to have played under the best manager in football, and he was the one that controlled everything. And he was, you know, these days I think it's a lot easier for 16, 17-year-old, you know, footballers to earn a ridiculous amount of money
and not be controlled.
And not be controlled,
like Ferguson did with you.
But we was very lucky because he controlled us. You know, he was like, you'll earn your money, don't worry about that. Go and play for Manchester United. That's the biggest honour that you'll ever do.
It's interesting you should say that, you know, because a while ago I was talking to Sven-Göran Eriksson, and it was just after he'd finished with England. And I said to him, you know, is there a difference between coaching young English players and young foreign players? And he said yes. And I said, what is it? He said, attitude and intelligence. Mm-hmm. And he said that they're on the whole better educated and want to learn more about football than the foreigners are, than the average English player. Would you say that was true?
Maybe. You know, I'm not a manager, so I can't really, you know, comment on that. But I think that having my academy that I have here in London and having the one in Los Angeles, you know, I get to work with some amazing kids. And the kids these days, you know, even at the 8 or 9-year-olds, you know, they'll ask you a question or you'll say, you know, is there anything you want to ask me? And one of the first things they ask you is, how much money do you earn? And that's
the first question.
Yeah, that's one of the first questions I'll get asked. And it's amazing because I'm sure...
That's interesting, isn't it?
I'm sure back in, you know, like George Best days...
Well, in your day, you'd never said to Ferguson, did you?
No, he would have. Definitely not.
Got a backhander, would you?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Or a boot thrown at you?
Yeah. Well, no. That was an accident. And...
Oh, I know, yeah. You set the straight face.
But you know, I've been very lucky in my career, and I've had some great managers. But I think great managers, it's always nice to have that. You know, I was scared of every manager that I've ever had in my career. every manager, every coach, from my dad at 7 or 8 years old, he used to scare me, to, you know, Stuart Underwood, who was like a sergeant major figure for Ridgeway Rovers, then up to Eric Harrison, Nobby Stiles, who used to coach us at Manchester United. Then there was Archie Knox, and then there was Sir Alex Ferguson, and there was, you know, all the youngsters that went through Manchester United was all scared of Sir Alex Ferguson, and that's how he got the best out of every one of the young players. And
he produced some very fine young players and took them in, and made them into very, very fine, mature players too, and that seems not to be happening too much nowadays. That's one of our problems. But you talk about, were you frightened of McLaren?
I'm a lot more grown up now, and a lot more aware, and a lot more braver.
Well, you know, he treated you very badly when you think about it. I mean, we lost the World. We didn't win the World Cup. We got knocked out. You were captain of England, and he took over when Sven went. And it seemed to me they made a meal of actually announcing that you know, he's going to sack you as a captain, and you were no longer part of his plans. It seemed to me he spun that as being something that was it's a revolution under me. And then, of course, I mean, what, 9, 10 months later, you're back in the side again. You're the saviour of the team. Now, at that time, when you were dispossessed of the captaincy, what was your reaction?
Well, leading into the World Cup, six months before that, I'd decided that that I was going to stand down as England captain. You know, I'd had 6 years of being England captain, the biggest honour that any footballer could ever have hoped for. And it was a big decision for me. No one knew about it apart from one of my best friends and obviously my wife. And it was a decision that I'd come to, and I had to get used to. I'd not told anyone because I felt that leading up to the World Cup, you know, I didn't want to affect anything that was going on with the team. So I'd gone into the World Cup. We'd obviously got knocked out, and it was another disappointing World Cup for us. And that morning, I remember waking up and I cried that morning because I knew what I was going to have to do. So then I went into the press conference, cried all the way down to the press conference, got through it, cried all the way back to the hotel, and then in my room was my 3 sons and my wife, and you know, it was very hard to actually step down as England captain because, you know, it was a big decision. But I never felt for 1 minute that I wouldn't
be part of the squad.
Be part of the squad and be part of the team. And I had no inkling into, obviously, anything like that. And then, obviously, when I was on the plane on the way over to a tour with Real Madrid, my phone rang and it was a private number, so I thought it was my wife. So I answered it, and it was obviously Steve McLaren. And he turned around to me and he said, you know, there's obviously going to be, you know, I'm the New England manager, there's going to be, you know, new things happening in the team, and there's going to be casualties, and you're a casualty. And it was very hard to take.